Dear ones, your physical self was often the last to transition throughout your transition phases. So it is now. You might feel tired, have a short-term illness, or not note any physical shift. As is true in every phase, your transition is not in conjunction with others but in tune with your inner needs. Many of you maintain 3D fears beyond what was safe for your new being, forcing you to now withdraw from society or activities. This is not a punishment but a make-up phase. Your physical being is merely catching up with your emotional and spiritual segments. Those not feeling any physical discomfort will do so soon or have already completed this phase. If you are experiencing this short-lived physical shutdown, you probably feel you are a slow learner or less than others who seem to be sailing through this phase with few or no consequences. Such is not an accurate description of this phase or your transition. It merely means you focused more on your emotional and spiritual segments than your physical being. If you were to review your 3D actions in this lifetime, you would likely discover that such has been the case for most of your life. Your spiritual or emotional segments were given more attention than was true for your physical being. You are now balancing your totality. Even though you could easily eliminate one aspect of your being without much thought in 3D, such is no longer the case. You are becoming fully there in all aspects of your being. You can no longer limp through this transition. Your full being is required, including aspects you did not access in 3D or other locations. It is as if you have been a flower with many unopened buds. They are all now opening. Even though you might wish to ignore your physical being, as has likely been your stance for this and many other 3D Earth lifetimes, this is no longer appropriate. Your new being in this new world requires an all-in approach. In a sense, you slept through your Earth lifetimes, accessing only bits and pieces of your totality. As you incorporated more and more of your totality throughout this transition, you needed to be fully engaged. And so you were except for your physicality. Many of you reading this message will proclaim that you are physically active. Perhaps you are, but you are unlikely to be active in ways that help unite your new totality. What physical activity does your body require? If you allow your thoughts and actions to float comfortably, your body will tell you what it needs and when. Many of you are physically active because it is a mental should. There is no joy in doing what you should, even if it seems right. This last thought might disturb some of you. Maybe your body requires no action, allowing the three major segments of your being physical, spiritual, and emotional to assimilate. Or perhaps it is time for you to jog, walk, or play physical sports. Only you know what you need. The only way to obtain that information is to listen to your inner voice. What do you want to do now? Sleep, eat, run, exercise, rest? Then, allow yourself to define it further with I want to jump up and down, but not walk. Your map is within you. If you are ill or tired now, what will help you feel less tired or not ill? We of the universes do not have that answer for you, nor does anyone else. Perhaps you are tired because you have been exercising too much or the wrong type of exercise. Only you know for sure. Or maybe your exhaustion or illness is related to focusing too heavily on world events instead of listening to your inner being. Your inner being is calling you back to focus on what your totality requires now. Your role is no longer the world caretaker role you accepted when you first decided to help shift Earth from fear to love. You achieved that enormous goal. Now, it is time to focus on yourself and what your being needs to live successfully in this new world. Those following you have a different assignment, as is true for each successive wave. If you are tired or ill, focus on determining why instead of continuing to function as you did when you were of 3D. You no longer have to do this and yet push through your exhaustion or illness. If you find yourself doing so, realize you have not yet accepted your new role of caretaking yourself. Some of you will proclaim that if you do not care for this being, that political action, or that Earth catastrophe, no one will because that is what you expected when you first accepted your role of shifting Earth from fear to love. You completed that role. You are no longer an Earth caretaker. If you are surrounded by those who need caretaking, you need to question your inner being to determine how much caretaking you are capable of now. We of the universes venture to guess that you will discover your caretaking days are either minimal or eliminated, because part of this phase is for those waves following you to discover how they can better care for themselves as they complete their universal role. And if that requires help from others who wish to perform those tasks, create a means for them to come into your life. Your caretaking days of others are over. It is time for you to focus on yourself. This returns us to the original question: why are you exhausted or ill? A question only you can answer. So be it. Amen.